So as you can see on your screens, the millions of people are arriving in Karbala, still arriving in Iraq, even starting their journeys. So some people have finished their journeys, some people are starting their journeys, but essentially it's all leading up to the time of Arba'een. Verses of Love now, with my guest Nouri Sardar. Once again, we've been having some fascinating discussions surrounding, the mindset behind poetry and recitation, and the different audiences that we can target, and the different styles, and so on and so forth. So from our last conversation, we were talking a lot about the process of creativity, what you really go through when writing a certain poem. Be it the different types. Are you writing for a certain person, or are you writing for a track, or are you writing for an audience? And it's really meticulous, the amount of depth that you go to when actually writing a poem. So a lot of it's the reason why we're discussing this is because for the audience, what I want them to understand is that when writing a poem, you can, because the main message is look, whatever's in your heart, put it into paper, right? But actually, there's more to it than that. Nouri, there's more to it than just writing on. There's a process. There's a reason why you're writing, who you're writing it for. Are you, of course, there's intention involved, but there has to be some sort of structure behind it, right? And actually, we discussed the reason why people don't write. And in this day and age, people don't write and don't publish anything for the fear of failure, or the fear of shame, or, for example, they won't get the amount of likes or shares that they. And success, unfortunately, as we alluded to, success is measured
by
it's quantified by social media, which is unfortunate. So for today, we'll focus a bit more about the mindset of poetry writing and recitation as well, because it's quite similar. Our worlds are quite similar. So and something that you said last time, actually, which really resonated with me, is saying true to yourself. I'll delve into that in a bit more during the show, but tell us a bit more about what you meant by saying true to yourself.
When you say success, the unfortunate thing is, like I said, people define success by social media, the likes you get or whatever, or in any case, for example, the money you make, the amount of cars you have. You can look at all aspects of your life as to how to define success. But the true success that you should aim for is when you reach a state of self-accomplishment. This is what I wanted to achieve, and I've done it. That's what success is. It doesn't necessarily involve money. It's not attached to, materialistic. Well, it might be, but the most important thing is that you're being true to yourself, So when it comes to...
you set yourself a target.
Yeah, you set yourself a target, right? But at the same time, what you're writing is not a lie. What you're reciting is not a lie. It's not someone else's world. I think that the biggest mistake... I think is, again, like when we started off, we emulated Jabir and Basim. That's how you started, But at the same time, that's not who we are. I'm not Jabir.
Nope.
You're not Basim.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're Ali and I'm Nouri. And when you reach that state of realization that that your art has to reflect you as who you are as a person, that's when you reach a state of true success. And it's hard because to get there, you have to figure out who you are as a person. And that's the hardest thing. That's the biggest question you're going to be asking yourself your whole life.
And then
Imam Ali says, the one who knows himself knows his Lord.
Yeah.
You can never know your Lord, and you can never know yourself. Right?
Yeah.
Really. But ultimately, your life journey is always going to be a journey of discovering who you are, what you enjoy. So me, for example, 2 or 3 years ago, I looked like deep inside myself and asked myself, who am I? What do I really want in life? What do I dream of? What do I want to get in life? And it's through understanding that my poetry, I would say, has become more true to myself. And that's what people need to aim towards. I think a lot of poets who start off and start writing, as we did, they like to emulate other people. They like to emulate different reciters, different poets, artists emulate other artists, and that's fine. You got to start off like that.
Yeah.
But eventually you come to a point where you can't write like Nouri. You can't recite like Ali. I can't write like someone else. You can't recite like someone else. You got to be true to yourself, reciting about what you want to recite about. Write about what you want to write about, perform in a way that you want to perform. And being true to yourself. And the reason I say that is because when you do that, poetry is ultimately what? It's emotions on paper, right? As we've been saying. And that's what hits people. The truer your emotions are, the true people will accept it.
Yeah.
And that's the point.
I get that. But the problem is, from a reciting point of view, right? Because writing words, there's no set structure. I can write word and I don't have to follow a certain way of whoever writes. It's just whatever's in my emotion, I put it into paper. But reciting, you have to follow a form.
Yeah.
You have to. There's
Yeah.
no other way. Because if I'm reciting for an Iraqi audience, the audience can only relate to me if I recite in the Iraqi way.
Yeah.
Okay, that's number one. So then if I try to recite the Iraqi way, the only way I'd know about that audience is if I copy or emulate someone that's an expert in that field.
Yeah.
So then my hands are tied.
Yeah.
Wallah, my hands are tied when it comes to that, because I have to copy someone.
Yeah.
And then when you copy someone, especially in your beginning life, when you copy someone, it becomes a habit. It becomes part of who you are really as a reciter.
Yeah.
Not who you are as a person, but as the reciter, the techniques, the skills, the tips that you have, it just becomes part and parcel of your second nature.
The thing is, I'm not too familiar with reciting in that way, but ultimately, obviously, everything that you have is going to be bits and pieces of other people, right? I mean, that's what it is. But the point is, the core of it has to be you. So if you ask yourself, for example, who you are an Iraqi person, right? You're an Iraqi who grew up in an Iraqi environment, who recites Iraqi Latmiya. So standing there and reciting Iraqi Latmiya is true to you.
Yeah.
It's not. You're not telling a lie, you know. And I think that also when you recite, because you've come from a family that recites, you emulate them as well. And then you look inside yourself and emulate yourself, and that's the point. I think a lot of us are lying about who we are. Sometimes, obviously, not on purpose, but we're lying about who we are. And the truer you are to yourself, the truer you put that, the more you put that in your art, the more it's going to resonate with the other people. And that I get. That's why I've been saying
that is definitely true.
Yeah.
That is from a recitation point of view. That is the emotion that you put into it. It will reflect in the audience.
Yeah, and so when I speak about being true to yourself, the truer your emotions are, the more real your emotions are. I mean, the thing is, let's be honest. I mean, we reciting and performing for Ahlul Bayt, it's a part and parcel of our lives. Sometimes it just becomes, it's not like it becomes insincere, but sometimes, you turn up to an event, you've done it a million times, you have to get up on the stage again and you recite. But when you get up there and you believe it, when you get up there and your heart's broken for Imam Hussein, your recitation is going to be 10 times better.
Yeah.
Right? And that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
We need to be in that state of mind all the time. Just sincere to yourself and true to yourself.
So for the upcoming speakers, for example, or the upcoming poets and stuff, I'm sure, when they first start up, they're going to have that passion. But is that the message that you want to send to them?
I mean, it's funny because I've had poets messaging me saying, Nouri, I've started to use my social media now. I want to do this like you do this. Or for example, I've started to work with this reciter now. I want to work with him like you worked with Ali. Or and they're just literally just copying what I did in my life and trying to take that structure and put it onto their lives.
Yeah.
Everything I did, everything you did, we figured out on the way.
Yeah.
And that's what people have to do. They can't look at someone else's success, emulate it. Emulate it and assume that it will work for them. The only way you're going to be, the only way your poetry is going to be the best it can be is if you follow your own kind of path and follow your own route and work from there.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't like to use, these are really wild examples, but you look at people like, for example, The Rock. Yeah, The Rock is a wrestler turned actor, and he became one of the most influential, successful people in Hollywood. The reason he became that is because he was true to himself. Because he did things that he enjoyed.
Yeah.
He made movies about things that he enjoyed. He's on Instagram. He's being himself, and that's why people love him.
Yeah.
And even you look at the film industry. The films that are doing amazing nowadays are people who are writing films about their own lives.
Yeah.
And being true to themselves. That extends to all forms of art, and even successful people in general. People who are successful, again, successful is a very broad term. People who are happy are the ones who are truest to themselves, who understand themselves. And are living the lives that are meant for them. This is all very broad, but you can when you take this kind of way of thinking and implement it into your life, not just your art, into your life, then your art reflects that. Yeah. And I think that's where we need to be.
Yeah, no, one of the key messages for the audience to get to really get to, especially for those who are actually reciting or delivering poetry or even up on the stage. The main thing is when you're just about to go towards the pulpit or just about to go to the stage to recite, is to really believe in the poem that you're going to recite or
believe in what you're doing.
Believe in what you're doing. Believe in what you're doing, and sometimes along our careers,
it's hard.
We lose touch in that.
It's not easy. I mean, I'm not even speaking about things like ego and arrogance. I'm just saying sometimes you've done it a million times before. you're just so used to it. It's so part of your second nature, which is a blessing for us, alhamdulillah. You just don't, dare I say, you don't believe in it as much as you did.
Yeah.
You know, and,
No,
and,
let's be
and we're
frank.
being
Yeah,
completely
it is.
frankly honest,
Yeah.
you know, and
It
that's
just
the
becomes part and parcel of
yeah,
the
exactly.
journey.
We just need to believe in it. You just need to make sure you're enjoying what you're doing. Ultimately, you're doing what you love.
Yeah.
As long as you're doing that, you're going to be successful. And that's why I said, even now in terms of the projects that I'm doing and the poetry that I'm writing, I don't care if they get likes or not. You know, I don't care if they get the streams I want or not. I'm doing things that are true to me, things that I enjoy, things that I want to put out there. You know, and I hope that it touches people, but that's not the aim I'm going for. I'm expressing myself because I want to express myself, and that's the most important thing I think.
That is fascinating.
Yeah.
That's a major change as well, because you really have to have experience in the field to gone through the highs and lows of what becoming a poet or a reciter offers, from the traveling all the way to the recognition, to the people.
The thing is, like,
shares.
I'm going to speak candidly again. I don't know if you've experienced this, but I've gone through not like clinical depression, but I've had moments of like being depressed when I see that. For example, when I tie my success to you know, people's to like it's a recognition, people inviting you, or you know, people liking your posts, and that doesn't happen, you become depressed because you're like, you know, I'm not relevant anymore.
Yeah.
But that's the problem. You're not looking for relevance. You're looking for you know, you're looking for being true to yourself and expressing yourself.
Yeah.
And that's how I kind of evolved.
Yeah. Once you're happy with yourself, it's a lot deeper than we're talking about. But once you're, there's a word that I'm missing. It's not happy. It's not satisfied. But it's something along those lines. Once you're content, yeah. Once you're content with the work that you do, and once you just don't care about the audience and stuff, then what you bring out is quality, because you're right, you're putting so much love into this. Someone will see that love.
Yeah.
And that's the main
And the
aim.
thing is, like, again, like something like going back to Revival, like I told you, like I hated it. People appreciated it.
Yeah.
Because it came from a true place. It wasn't a place I wanted to come from, but the place was real to me, and that's why it impacted people. And I think, yeah, that's just so important. Just being content with yourself, and ultimately, all you can do with all this work and all your creative art, you can only try your best. You can't, you know, you put an album out, for example. God knows if it's going to be the album that changes the world or whatever, but you can't think like that. You just try your best, and wherever God takes it is where God will take it, and that's it. You just gotta let go. You gotta let go.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all it is.
And on that note, look, I could speak about this for days, because it really is a topic that touches with and resonates with me personally. And we'll share our thoughts on this in the next coming episodes. After this, or after the break, the next person you will see will be Zahra Kazmi, whose guest will be Masooma Jafar on the Dear Masooma segment of Morning Baraka, where they're going to be discussing the ziyara benefits. Benefits, that's just after the break.